Hello. Sorry, I was trying to find the mic. I was having a hard time finding the mic. Okay, sorry. I was just playing around with some stuff. I should have done that before. Anyways, welcome to the Vinci Eye App YouTube channel live. Here, I'm here so that I can help you get set up with the Vinci Eye App, show you different tools that are within the app. And I'm also here for you to learn how to use it to its fullest and some tips and tricks on how to use some different types of medium. Just letting you know, I am the things that I've mastered is pencil work. I do graphite pencil and colored pencil, but I have dabbled in a ton of different things, so I can at least get you started on those as well. I forgot to pull out my pencils earlier, so just give me a second. I am using Faber-Castell, but I'm not going to be super in detail on which color exactly to use because there are many different pencils sets, and if you can figure out something very close to what you see with your set, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter exactly. Many different ways to mix colors, many different combinations to get the same effect. Let's get started. First, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on how this app works. So there's two different modes. There's classic mode and AR mode. Classic mode is good for like quick sketches that will take like a day to do and you don't have to move your phone or anything. AR mode is good for like multi-sessions like what we're doing right now. And classic AR mode is connected to the scribbly marks here. Oh, my Vinci Eye app is frozen. So I'm just going to close out, go to the Vinci Eye app. So I can quickly show you how to get back to a project. So you just go into like little bookmarks here and just scroll down until you get to the spot that you want it to be, like the project that you're working on, and lock focus. So AR will be anchored to this thing, and you can make your own. I believe that there are some that are pre-made that you can get as well with certain things. And this allows you to move around your drawing surface or your projector, your tracer, and it will stay aligned. You can also angle it and it will adjust the image with that angle, so you don't have to draw it parallel to the drawing surface, which is really cool. With the move button, which I don't really want to play around with because it keeps on unaligning when I play around with it. You can shrink it, like press the move button, and then you can shrink the image, enlarge the image, move it around until you get it in the right place that you want it to be on your drawing paper. And then make sure you press the move button again, and then you can zoom in to find details and trace. Or you can just do the basic outlines and then just go from there on your own. The app allows you to do so much. Like you can do really detailed work, or you can just do the outlines and just have fun with it after that with your own style. let me just think of what I'm going to say next. You can change the opacity. This will help you see where you've drawn and where you still need to draw to get the perfect balance between the reference photo and the papers or whatever you're drawing, creating on. So just play around with that. One of my favorite tools that I use is breakdown mode. I like breakdown mode for colored for black and white drawings. And it gives you step-by-step stencils by color value. So I'll just show you what that looks like. I'm gonna decrease the opacity. But you start off with your lighter values and you just shade in all the colored areas. So this is all the red. And then you get darker and darker, which is less space as it goes, slowly just building up those values. So this is really great for practicing shadowing. So that's one of the things I love to use for my graphite drawings. And then what I really like to use after that, no matter what I'm doing, is I like to do the strobe feature. So this will just go back and forth between your drawing and your reference photo, so you can find all those little details. So like right here, I could use a little bit of more yellow right here, because you can compare the differences here. Yeah, it's really cool. There's a whole bunch of different things. Pros to using it over other tracing surfaces or tracing methods is with a traditional projector. You have to draw in the dark, which makes it extremely hard to see where you've drawn. It actually is impossible to see where you've traced. So you have to keep getting up, turning on and off the lights, and yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Light boxes, you have to have, like, it only gives you one size, the size of which you print the reference photo. So you can't really play around with the scale. What else? Yeah, with the Vinci Eye App, you can trace on literally anything. It doesn't have to be a super thin paper to see underneath it. You can trace on canvases, wood, fabric, just a bunch of different things. It's a multi-purpose tracer. So just another thing is the drawing competition is over now. I have posted the winners. The winners already received their cash prizes, but please go and look at all the beautiful artwork that is posted in the Vinci Eye App Facebook group. If you do not have the Vinci Eye App and you would like to try it for free for a year, I have a link with the promo code in the description for iOS. If not, you need to email me for Android, because each Android promo code is different per person. So I do have those. Anyways, let's get started. So we're going to continue off with where we left off with the window, obviously. And I want to fix up that little yellow spot that's not quite over far enough. So I'm going to use a yellow for that. I just sound like I don't know how to articulate things today, but that's okay. So I'm going to start off with a bright yellow, and then I'm going to do like an orange yellow over top of it, just to kind of blend it into the colors that I already have there. Oh, materials I'm using. I'm using Faber-Castell polychromos, and I'm using Bristol board paper. It's like nice and smooth paper, and nice and thick too. And yeah, I have some. These pencils do erase, so I have some erasers as well. They don't erase completely, but enough to be able to play around with it a little more. So things I'd recommend is putting your reference photo onto another device if you have one. If not, print it off. This way you can, like with that, I would make a color chart with all the colors and the names and the numbers of the pencils so you can find them quickly and easily. And you can also compare to the reference that you can see on your other device. You just another thing is, like, if you do have it digital, put it in like a photo editing app where you can pick the colors. And you will even give you more accuracy if you want to do that. There are apps out there that tells you what color to use for your colored pencils, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to go with this that we have. Why isn't the anchor detected? There we go. Okay. So for the, well, let me just finish doing this part. For the metal part, we're gonna start off with like a light blue. Make sure you have a good pencil sharpener. Handhelds are recommended to make the pencils last longer, but I don't mind using electric pencil sharpeners. That's what I use. It speeds up the process. Okay. You see how it's a bit blurry when you zoom in? Let me just see. You can see that the pencil's a bit blurry. You're going to go into AR, and then you just take the focus off, and then sometimes I like to just move my hand down from the camera, so it kind of helps it focus it better. This might be because I'm super zoomed in at this point, but if you find it that it's quite blurry, that is one way to help. If you're doing classic mode and it's blurry, there's actually a camera, like a kind of like the opacity button where you can actually adjust the focus manually instead of doing it automatically. I don't know why it's playing that. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a slightly darker blue. trying to preserve some of the highlights that I see, if I can. It is very fine. It is, yeah, very fine detailed work, so we'll just do our best. So for doing silver, I like to stick with blues and black and grays. If you guys have any questions during the live, go ahead and comment. It is fairly slow, so I will respond to it as soon as I see it. Even if it's not a question about the app and you just want to chat, that's great too. I'm just using a little bit of black in here. Trying to just create those shapes that I see. The shapes are created by the different colors and shades of colors. When I'm drawing, I don't really think of the shape as a whole, like the sections as a whole. I see it as just all the individual gradients within those. Does that make any sense? I don't know if I make sense today. Something that you guys don't see on my lives is that I have my phone streamed to my TV. So if I'm looking like I'm looking above you on the live video, it's because I'm looking at my TV. This is so far up that I'd have to either sit up. Well, I'd have to sit up and put a cushion underneath my bottom, underneath me, so I can sit up a little taller. But yeah, that's one way that I streaming is how I go about. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, there's just been things everywhere that's been kind of messing with me. So I see a bit of a green and blue undertone to this window here. So I'm going to so I'm just actually doing a light layer of the greens and the blues. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm actually drawing by holding the end of the pencil, not the tip of the pencil, the end. This helps have a consistent pressure. And then I also draw it in circular motions It helps with blending, making it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to go in with a dark blue. And I'm going to layer that on top of that green. And then I'm going to lightly add some, slowly and lightly add some black in the really dark areas. I'm not going to go over those areas that are like the areas that I kind of see the blue and the green. I'm going to not go over those right now. I will later, but I'm just trying to indicate the shapes of those lighter areas by darkening the rest. Okay, I made a bit of a mistake, so I'm gonna take my, where is my mono eraser? I think it's up here. There's my mono eraser. And I'm gonna just pick up that black. You see how that just erased easily? Probably didn't. Why isn't the anchor being not detected? There we go. Here it's really hard to see the details because the colors are so dark, but I'm going to focus more on the reference photo on my phone here for this. Is my #1 fan here, Raven? I feel so lonely if she's not here. So I'm doing my best to replicate the reflection as, you know, as I see it. Just slowly building it up as I go. I'm going to build up some more of those dark blues and greens. So I'm putting in a little bit more pressure than I initially was. Okay, I'm going over it lightly, all of it with a bit of black. I'm going to start varnishing it. I'm going to start with the darkest areas, putting in quite a bit of pressure. I'm really trying to fill in all of those little white specks so it's nice and solid. You want to try to get it as smooth as possible. Some areas I'm going to put in quite a bit of pressure, but not as much. I do want to build up that black a little bit more in some areas. Okay, I have a colorless pencil. This is from Prismacolor. This is the only one I can find that's a colorless pencil, but it works really well. There are many different ways to blend. One is to slowly, continually add layers, and then putting more and more pressure as you go. You can use one of these. There's blending markers, or like a little bit of alcohol and a Q-tip would work too, or a brush. But it all depends on the type of pencil you're using. That will determine what kind of blending technique you're going to use. So I'm just pushing in. It's kind of like breaking up the colored, just breaking the colors a little bit more, turning it into powder almost on the page, but the page is absorbing it. You see how that really fills in those areas and makes it nice and smooth? That's what I like about the colorless pencil. With a blending marker and alcohol, or like alcohol, not drinking alcohol, we don't want that. It gives it more of like a watercolor type paint, sort of, if that, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. And I'm just gonna blend, going in the direction of those silver details, the direction of the lines. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of white on some of the silver details, and then maybe just a tiny bit of white as well in the reflection of those of the window here, just a little bit. Now we got this tiny little triangular window left. It's also got blues and greens for the undertone under the black. So I'm gonna slowly, I'm gonna kind of shape that window a little bit better. You might need to add some more color to fill in the gaps for the yellow part of the car. So I'm holding the end of the pencil, doing circular motions, very light pressure. I'm putting in the green first. I'm going to overlay it with some blue. I think I'm just going to leave the blue on the bottom half. I'm not going to put it on the, well, no, I'll do the whole thing. I will do the whole thing with a bit of blue. Same light pressure, circular motions, and I'm holding the end of the pencil. I'm mostly looking at the reference photo from my phone at this point, because these details are so fine, or so similar in shade, that it's really hard to see it on the app. But yeah, these are so tiny details, and it's also on a object. It doesn't matter too much of the placement for these little reflective pieces. We still can tell it's a car. That's all that matters. And then a little lighter pressure on the bottom part because it's still got black in there. And now I'm going to start putting more pressure on those really dark areas, the black areas. Now taking the colorless pencil. Sorry for that loud noise, but the colorless pencil, we're going to blend it out, really push it into the page. I'm still going to add a little bit more detail, some more black over top of it in some areas that I see. Like, I kind of see almost like curved stripes going on here, so I'm going to try to duplicate those. And then add a tiny bit of white in some areas. Not a whole bunch. It's not going to show up very light, but at least it'll get some of that detail in there. Where is... I wonder where my brush went to. I haven't seen it when I was cleaning. Oh, there it is. A little horsehair brush. This is my mom's. It helps prevent any smudging. Because, like, these pencils do smudge a little bit. I'm going to use a dark yellow orange just to fill in that little gap where the window and the car hits. I think I might actually use some. Probably going to go over it with some orange, just make it a bit darker. I'm trying to make a shadow. Now we're going to do the silver detailing that's on the, let me just take a look here real quick. No, I think I'm going to add some light, like some yellow underneath that window, just to kind of redefine the shape here. And then we can go in with some silver detailing. I see light blue, dark blue, and a little bit of black or gray. I'll start with a light blue. And I'm going to lightly fill in the entire silver area, just very, very lightly. Okay, going in with a darker blue, I'm going to do only half that stripe on the bottom half. I think I might take a little bit of gray. Where is my gray? There it is. And go underneath that as well. I'm just trying to get those lines smaller and smaller as I go. And then a black line underneath that. It's very fine. Just create a shadow. There's like a very little bit of red underneath that too. So I'm gonna do that just a bit. It's more like the shadow that's on the car, the yellow parts of the car. So we're gonna do that red just underneath the black. Take that colorless pencil. My colorless pencil is a little dirty, so I'm gonna rub it on my board here. Can you rub it on a piece of paper if you don't want to muck up your drawing surface. And now we're going to work on that handle. I'm going to start off with a light blue, although I see mostly like blacks, but there are a few little highlights here. So this is kind of mapping out where I need to draw the rest. I'm using some gray. Just trying to slowly build up the color here, slowly. Lots of layers, lots of different colors. And there's a bit of red in here too. I'm going to add that just underneath the black. I didn't even add black yet. Let's do that. Let's add some black now. Okay, now we're going to work on the little stripe that's on the bottom part. There's a little bit of light blue, not a whole bunch. I think I'm actually going to start with a mid blue, to be honest, though. I'm going to preserve some of this, like a very small bit of this for the white. And then I'm going to get a slightly darker, well, yeah, a darker blue to create the shadow. And then the last little bit's black and red. There's a very fine line of both of them just underneath that. I'm going to take that blending pencil, just drag it across, because if we want to go the opposite direction, we're going to lose some of that detail. I'm going to see if I can make this area a little bit more solid, because it kind of looks like it could use a little bit more blending. I'm looking at it and I'm looking for the brightest shade of blue or whatever color I see. There's a little bit, when I'm looking at the reference photo, I see a little bit of a yellow reflection on this little piece. A little bit of a yellow reflection. So I'm going to start off with using a bright blue, a very light blue. I'm going to skip that area that looks like it's reflecting some yellow. And then those really dark, almost black areas, I can skip those too. And we're just going to shade it, like fill it in, very light pressure, circular motions, and holding the end of the pencil, not the tip. Just very lightly. You can go in with a darker blue, preserve those highlights as best as I can. I'm just sculpting out the edges of the shapes and then filling it in after. Still using circular motions and light pressure when I'm filling it in. I'm not going to get every detail perfect, but the app does help get it pretty darn close. Now we're going to go in with an even darker blue. Let me see. Okay, if you're having trouble picking a color, go back to your color chart. So I'm trying to get some of those shadows now, preserving the highlighted areas, and just using the different shades to create the texture and details. I also see a little bit of a green color on the bottom part where it's starting to face the road a bit. So I'm gonna add some of that in that shadowed areas. Not doing a lot of pressure for this. I'm using a very dark green for this. I think I'm going to do some of it in that yellow reflection as well, just a little bit. And adding some dark blue over top of the bottom part. And some of those little shadowed stripes too with that dark blue as well. Just above those white highlights. It helps make those white highlights pop a little bit more with that dark contrast. Okay, I'm going to add some of that yellow to that reflection I see. Yellow and a little bit of blue, light blue. It's going to turn green. I know it's going to turn green. Okay, it is time to take a short break. So, get up, walk around for a minute, go get something to drink, and I will be back for more drawing and a little bit of a Q&A as well. If you have questions, I will answer. Be back shortly. There we go. Now you can hear me. Okay, now is a good time to ask some questions. I can go over anything you want me to go over. I'm just gonna bring my computer over here. So. It's a mess. And if you guys don't have any questions, I will ramble on for a little bit. The same thing that I said earlier in the beginning of this video. I'm just gonna get myself something to drink here real quick, but yeah, go ahead. Okay, just a little bit about me first. I am a commissioned portrait artist. Do people portraits, pet portraits for the most part. That's what I specialize in. I have done other things, other subjects, and mediums outside of my specialty. My specialty is pencils, graphites, and colored pencils. But I have dabbled in like almost anything you can think of. So for future videos, once this one's done, you are more than welcome to ask me to do something for you, whether that be a different subject or a different medium. I can at least get you started, especially if it's something that I don't specialize in. I can at least get you started. I am just a fan of the app. I asked the developer for a job, and that's why I'm here. But I do know the app very well. I've been using it since 2019, maybe 2020. Yeah, 2019 is about when I started using it. If you aren't a part of the Facebook group, I suggest going there. We do challenges and giveaways with cash prizes for both. Like challenges and competitions that, And for the challenges, it's just a random draw for the winner to get a cash prize. For the competition, it's the person who gets most votes for their artwork that they like a lot. So join that. I recommend joining that. Also, follow the YouTube channel. There are going to be a good chunk of tutorial videos, as well as some short videos that might inspire you. And also so you can follow on with these live videos. I'm decided to do these live videos so you guys can draw along with me in real time and ask me questions throughout the video. Yeah, so that's all. If you guys want to try the app for free for a year, there is a promo code and link in the description. And that's for iOS, but if you have an Android, please email me. My email is also in the description. Each promo code is a one-time use that's personal to each person. I think that's about it, I think. So let's get on with the drawing. Oh, I just remembered another thing. If you want to draw along and you can't find the reference photo, it is in the Facebook group, my personal, like the Vinci Eye Facebook group, my personal Facebook page, which is Charity Lowe's Art. Also in the iOS app, if you look up my profile under inspiration, you'll be able to find the reference photo there too. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of a black, like a little bit of a, take the black pencil and just put a little bit in certain areas. Like there's a dark black line between the door part of it and like the little piece of, I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry. I don't know words for like names of car parts very well. I'm gonna focus mostly on the reference photo that I see on my phone for these parts here. I'm gonna switch over to a gray for the top pieces here. I find I can see a little bit more detail when I'm looking directly at the reference photo on a different device. Or even printing it out will be good too, if you don't have an extra device. And add a little bit more black in like some of those shadowed dark areas on this. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. It's kind of almost like a medium amount of pressure. It's not the lightest I can do. It's not the darkest I can do. Just right down in the middle. I'm just continuing to add layers of colors, just a little bit until a little bit at a time until I get it to where I want it to be. We start off with the main color and then we just add on colors that are undertones, or sometimes we even do the undertones first and then do the main color afterwards. Either way works depending on what you're doing. Just play around with it. I have to be honest, each time I'm drawing a piece, there's no right or wrong to doing things, and I just make it up as I go, but I'm just here to help you get some ideas on how to go about it. Just adding a little, like I'm adding the color on those the lighter areas, but not as much pressure as I was doing just now. I'm going to use a light orange to define the shapes of the yellow and the silver part, because it's kind like there's, I don't know how to explain. It's very soft transition, but it doesn't, we don't need a soft transition for this part. We need something that's solid. I'm going to take the blending stump now, and for some of it I'm doing circular motions for like the big areas of color, and then I'm going to go side back and forth for where the lines are, the little detailed lines. And then I'm going over it with a little bit of white for the highlights. And then there's a silver stripe underneath the car. It is a little bit off compared to the other half. This just happens. It just happens. So I'm gonna actually line it up to what it was on. I'm just gonna line it up to the rest of it. They are going to have a nudge feature here soon, hopefully soon, to help realign things easier. So I'll just do like a micro movement, because the movements are just so sensitive. I need to do some erasing. Let's see if I can erase this. A little bit, not a whole bunch. Okay. And then we're gonna go back and forth with a light blue. Then we're going to go in with a mid blue. There's two highlights, one on the top and one on the bottom, so we're going to try to just stay in the center for adding that darker blue on top. And some gray, just to make it slightly darker. And this one's on like the bottom portion of the middle. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm gonna add a little bit darker blue in there too, like even darker. I'm gonna kind of bring it over to the other half that we did earlier and then in a previous video. And then slowly building it up. What I'm gonna do next is just blend in that. Just dragging it back and forth in the direction of the line, because if we go up and down, we'll just lose those details of the lines, the placement. Then go in with black and add some of those little screws or whatever those are. Just draw some of those circles. I'm going to go in with a dark orange and define the line between the silver and the body of the car. And also rework that little detail where it kind of connects to that other metal piece we were just working on. So we're just gonna redo that a bit. Okay. Let me see what are we gonna do next? We're almost done the car itself. I'm just gonna see how everything's lined up in this little section here before I start going. Okay. I'm gonna start with the rim of, well, what's it called, a rim? I don't know. I'm gonna start with the center of the tire. We're gonna use the lightest blue. First, I'm sketching out the shape. And then also I'm going to shape out those little triangular pieces that you see in another kind of, there's no blue in that, or very little blue in that section. So I don't want to really shade in those areas too. So I'm just going to shape those out. It's kind of like sketchy lines. Very light pressure so that it kind of blends in at the end. And then holding the end of the pencil, not the tip, doing very light circular motions all the way everywhere in that area, leaving out those triangles. And then with a darker shade, but not super dark, I'm just gonna start shaping out some of the details. You can zoom in even further for this to help get those details in. If you think you've made a mistake at any point, as long as you don't put too much color on it and you're slowly building it up, there's always room for adjusting. See if I can come up with some word of wisdoms for you as a beginner artist, or just an artist in general. Each drawing I have ever done has always been a lesson in learning. I believe that there will be continuing learning of art. Also, it doesn't matter what art form you're looking at, there's always something you can learn from it. Even if you personally don't think something is a type of artwork. So like, and I mean like for handmade stuff, things that were made by a human, thought by a human, that kind of stuff. If you don't understand, like if you don't see skill in an artwork, it's probably an emotional piece. So the art is within the brain of the artist when you see stuff like that. People don't think realistic artwork, I'm sorry. Well, some people don't think realistic artwork is art, but the lesson you can learn from it, even though I do believe that realistic artwork is art, the thing you can learn from is the technique and how to get details and textures and all this other kind of stuff. I like to remind people that it's easier to find things that make things not art. I don't think there's a such thing that like art's just so wide. The definition of art is so wide and it keeps continuing growing. You'll learn more if you ask yourself, why is it art? What elements does this make art? There are so many people who are bringing each other down, and I don't like that. I want other artists to be able to appreciate each other. It doesn't mean you have to like the artwork. It's just that you should respect each other's style of artwork. Just slowly, very slowly building up the colors. I am going to compare the blues to what I see for colors and things, just to make sure I pick the right color. It's always good to have a color chart of the colors you have, so you can have a better, you can make better choices for colors. Slowly building it up, also at the same time, slowly adding those details. It'll come together just very slowly. This is probably one of the longest pieces I've worked on because it's almost like there's more detail in this than a person for some reason. I don't know why. There's almost like a yellow green color that's within the triangles here, so I don't know. I think this color right here be kind of like an olive, yellowy olive green kind of thing going on. And we're gonna put that in the triangles. And now we're gonna add some black to this. So if you're curious on how long this has taken us so far when it comes to the end of this video, this is part 6, times that by 2, this is 12 hours. We will have worked on this for 12 hours once this video is over. I'm just trying to find those really dark areas. That's what I'm doing right now. We're getting really close to getting it where we want it to be for both coloring, like the colors and the shades, because we're working on both. We're working on both working on it at the same time. I can't say it. I've been having a hard time with large words. I'm gonna use some gray. I'm still just building it up, building up the colors. Slowly getting them darker and darker as I go. There's a bit of a scuffed up mark on this. I'm gonna add ever so slightly some brown. It's almost rusty. I don't know if it is rusty. It's quite small, but I am gonna add a little bit of a brown, like a reddish brown. Right now I'm mostly focusing on the reference photo on my phone, not the app. I'm gonna take the blending pencil and I'm just gonna blend in the blue areas, kind of going in the direction of those lines that are coming out from the center, and then circular motions for like those other flat areas. Just a little bit of both methods of blending, back and forth and swirling it around, depending on what section you're working on. And then for the rusty area, or the thing that looks like a rusty area, circular motions for that. And now I'm going to work on the triangular areas. I'm pulling that black over top of the green. Kind of doing back and forth motion for that. And then going over it again with the black, just to really make those areas pop a bit more. Because it kind of goes a little bit more of a gray color when you blend it. So you just need to go over it one more time and just leave it alone after. Okay, now it's time for the tire. I'm going to let's use a gray pencil to lightly sketch out the entire shape of the tire. The outer shape and the inner shape. So we want to have that little bit of a light blue that goes around between, just on the outer side of the black that we put on. I'm kind of just mostly looking at the drawing at this point. Now I'm going to look for undertones, like blue and green. Blue on like the center parts and green on the outer parts. Just take a look at my color chart here. So light, pressure, circular motions, all in the areas where I see the blue undertone. Okay, and then the green undertone are on the outer edges of the tire. So we're going to do the same thing. Light pressure, circular motions, holding the pencil at the end, not the tip. And now we're going to go over it with black. Still light pressure and circular motions for this. I'm just adding the black in the center part of the tire, like leaving space where the blue and the green is, and then just adding that right in the middle. I am going to add more later, but I'm just going to do that for now. and then black on the very bottom where it's touching the road. You can go over it again with some blue in those blue areas, and then some more green in the greener areas. And this just adding more layers. Okay, that is it for today. Things I suggest you doing is downloading the app if you don't have it. I do have a free promo code at the bottom of the description for iOS, so you can try it out for free for a year. And then if you don't have an iOS, please email me. My email's in the description as well, because each promo code is unique to each person, can only be used once, and it's also free for a year. I also suggest you go to the Vinci Eye App Facebook group and join, and follow the YouTube channel so you can keep up with the live videos and also see other videos, tutorials, and inspiration stuff. Yeah. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next week.